Hey, hey,
Hello and good afternoon. How you doing today, Drac? How you doing today,
man,
volunteers?
man, doing pretty good. I was saying earlier, I had like a sleep crash where
Mm.
you stay up late, you don't sleep a lot, and then like I usually finally have like a day I crash. So I woke up like an hour ago, like what the fuck's going on? Um, but yeah, I also you might notice here, I
Mhm.
said the first episode that my face was like bright red the whole episode because of the background. So
Is that why we're in this tasteful office,
yeah,
this
so
apartment
this is
lobby?
my Quant's apartment.
Yeah,
Um yeah, I'm about to start sleeping on this couch actually.
yeah, dude. You've been burning the midnight oil, huh? Been burning the candle at both ends, huh, Drac? What's the hustle, dude? What's the grind right now? That's just how you do in
Um
the bear market, though.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I've just been kind of like you know, I'm usually like building stuff, and then like I was building stuff and I had like my stint at Sonic. And
mhm.
when I got kind of done with that, I was like, I took a little time off, 2 or 3 weeks. It was like the holidays approaching and stuff too. But after that, I was like, you know, I want to get back to coding more, building stuff more. So I've really just been kind of like, um, don't really care if I win anything or not. I've just been kind of like doing a couple hackathons just to kind of like dust off the cobwebs. Um,
Mm.
I used to like last run, I guess if that's how you want to look at it, I was usually like kind of like on back end stuff.
Mhm.
Was never really like a UI guy or anything, but obviously thanks to the marvels of vibe coding, it's like can kind of be a one man show on some of this stuff. Now,
Yeah.
I know anyone that's like really into this stuff. I know a lot of devs, I know a lot of people that code. So let me be the first one to say the hackathons are kind of good because you don't have to like, you don't have to be quite as like serious about, audits and security and all that kind of stuff. Cause
Mhm.
I'll be the first one to say, like, you got to be careful with like vibe coding, EVM solidity stuff. So,
I really appreciate you saying that, dude, because you know me, I'm not even dusting off the cobwebs. There's nothing to get cobwebbed up, but I'm getting in on this vibe trading thing. I was a it main void noob. I was a for loop novice when I would program a little bit, little scripts on the PC for my office job back in the day. But now I'm getting to trying to actually build a product here, vibe coding and stuff. And I've been looking at hackathons as kind of a way to get out there that's a little bit low risk, in the sense that low risk is in that people won't come to my house and gun me down for losing them a bunch of money for for a
yeah,
simple
yeah.
flaws I
It's
might
like
have
I
in.
said, it's like, I think it's like, yeah, you got to take some of it serious in terms of, um, I don't think there's anything wrong with like, vibe coding something as long as,
Mhm.
make sure you take the necessary security steps. But yeah, I did this Solana privacy hackathon. Um, there's this really short monad AI agent. It's real. I mean, it's really short. I think the whole thing you have to have something in like 8 or 9 days or
Is
something.
it this one? Is this the same thing? The Nitro Monad Nitro?
No, no, that's about that's actually separate from the thing they're doing now. It's called the multiverse, like MOLT, like
Capturing that
um
malt book hype.
yeah. So I'm kind of doing something for that. I don't know if I'll get done in time, because I go out of town Friday and the stuff's got to get turned in by like Sunday. But yeah, like I said, it's been just kind of, well, the market's slow, trading as well when I don't accidentally sleep past market open. Because right now when the crypto market's down this bad, it's almost like you have to kind of trade the opening session and stuff like you would like the stock market, because that just seems to
Mm.
be when there's like the most you know seems to be when there's the most activity
Activity.
also like on Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff. So
Mhm.
um yeah, doing some trading, doing some of that, just kind of trying to like um I don't know, not like not
Get
just sit around
depressed.
and
Burnt
yeah.
out, suicidal. Yeah, you gotta keep active, dude. Idle hands are the devil's playthings, and I think you know what that means at home. We don't wanna be that. We don't wanna be the devil's playthings. We gotta keep active, and that's what we're doing, dude. you know, you and I are both vibe coding some stuff. Hopefully, once the hackathon concludes or whatever, I want to see what you did, dude. I want you to demonstrate it for us because I think that's
Yeah.
what to look at. And I'll throw my game up here soon. It's almost over. It's almost done. Okay, running through credits like crazy, but it's like it's very simple. I feel like a comp sci student could have easily done this, my project, in maybe like an afternoon. Actually, I know for a fact they could because I've seen them do these things before when I was in college.
Well, hey, it's good though. It's like the more the more you mess around, better you get, the faster you get. So, you got to start somewhere.
That's right. And I was also really pretty good at real-time strategy games back in the day and World of Warcraft and all that kind of stuff. And everyone keeps saying that's what agents are. They say it's just like playing StarCraft. That's what. Have you noticed all the KOLs? They have like the same like they're really trying to. I mean, it's smart. They're pushing it on like millennials to like Zoomers, like the younger, and they're trying to capture like gamers. They're like, hey man, you spend all your time playing games. Play with an AI agent and make some money instead.
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of that. And but like I said, it's kind of funny how you see so much content where somebody kind of pointed like making fun of it or whatever, but it was kind of like, yeah, bro, I spent the whole weekend like optimizing my setup, and it's like, well, what did you build? And it's like, well, I didn't build anything, but it's like people just get like obsessed with like the setups and like the different skills and like the things you can do.
It reminds me of like when you get into like a hobby, like people that first get into like a hobby and then they buy like all the fucking gear for it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna go skiing for the first time, so I gotta buy skis and gloves and a hat and all this shit.
Yeah.
And then they do it once and they're like, I'm not very good at it. And so
people just like going like all in on it. And then it's like, well, what have you built? And it's like, so much content on my X. I guess because of AI and stuff I'm interested in, I've kind of got like broad AI content pulled into my algo along with, the usual CT stuff. And it is kind of wild the amount of content I see where it's literally like a glorified calendar app or a glorified to-do list that I'm just like, and people are like eating it up. So I'm like, hey, if these guys can do okay building shit like this, then, us and everybody in the rope house and whatever, we should be able to do something decent.
Well, here's the alpha for you guys. I don't know if this is even quite alpha. It seems pretty apparent to me, and obviously to Drac, is that this is the kind of new little gold rush happening right now, the new bubble that's starting, particularly around Moltbook. I've seen about 4 or 5 different products launch that have cleared about 10K plus in a couple days, where all they are, literally the only thing they are, is an agent that sets up Moltbot for you, that sets up a Moltbot instance for you, which is like, I guess useful. I don't know if it's worth very much money, but I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? I'm an idiot crypto trader who's broke as hell. So, well, speaking of, I wanted to share this. This is a little silly, a little fun. I did no research on this. I'm just choosing to believe this. According to this study, you must approach slot machines with an open heart. If you're enlightened, you just win at gambling. That's what this study says.
I like it.
Your level of consciousness dictates the outcomes of your bets. So if you haven't made any money in crypto, it's because you have a black tainted heart. Like
you need to open your heart, open your mind. Now I will say,
oh, this from the CIA.
I've seen both sides of the CIA. I've seen both sides of this argument because last time I was in Vegas, I met up with some friends out there that are also in crypto, and one guy in particular, he lives in Vegas full time now. And he was like, basically like you would walk into a casino and he was like Rain Man. Like you would every slot machine he walked past, he would like tell me, okay, on this one, you got to do $100, 2 rows. Like he had like every single machine's like odds kind of figured out on like what's the best way to win like the best payout. Which I just thought was insane. But I guess if you live in Vegas, and that's all you do is basically gamble for real, then I guess you just start to, start to learn this shit. Yeah.
He's learned the jungle, dude. It reminds me of Twin Peaks season 3, if you've ever seen it, where Dougie goes into the casino and he's like I don't know, dumb, he's stupid. He has like no conceptualizations of the world or whatever. He goes in with a pure heart and open mind, and he just sees an aura around every machine that's about to pay out. They start calling him Mr. Jackpots because every time he pulls the arm, he hits the jackpot. Anyway, enough of that fantasy stuff. Okay, let's get to brass tacks here. Let's talk about making money, Drac. Let's talk about finance. Okay.
Finance. Yeah. I guess we'll do charts real fast because there's not like a lot to, like I said,
Hey,
Bitcoin weekly. We blasted through the cloud on the weekly. Kind of an important, a decent support here. Do not really want to lose this support because it looks like a nice tumble down to closer to like lower 50K area. So right now it looks like we're holding right where we need to hold. I hope that continues, obviously. I feel like, there was like a series of events, that people are now kind of like in hindsight contributing to this recent free fall. And part of it is there's a big crypto bill that's still not gone through yet that was, supposed to go through. There was the announcement of who will be the new Fed chair, which was a not taken super well when everybody thought, oh, they're going to put in this like yes man, it's just going to instantly crank us down to 1% or something. And then obviously in the broader markets, things are beginning to be priced in for what a lot of big investors imagine is probably going to be a medium term war in the Middle East.
What?
That's what I've been reading in terms of what's going on in Iran. A lot of, big funds, big investors are beginning to kind of like adjust their risk for what, might be some kind of, war starting in the Middle East on top of everything else we have going on. So
along those oils, you gotta buy some oil futures. You know what I'm saying? But that's crazy, dude. I mean, I knew things were heating up in the Middle East. I didn't know we were getting so close that people were actually pricing it in, dude. That's nuts. I think there's a lot of kind of negativity surrounding Bitcoin right now, kind of like you're saying. Additionally, jobs numbers were released and revised for 2025. If you saw that, it was like one of the worst years for job additions ever, I think.
Since 2003.
Since 2003. They were revising it from mildly positive outlook to a horrendous outlook. If you look at it, like we're talking about like instead of it being like 10,000 jobs added a month in this sector or whatever, it was like actually 0 jobs were added. So I don't, the numbers are pretty bad. So what that means is even less likelihood of rate cuts. So it doesn't seem like we're going to get any more with Jay Powell. Def stonks, dude. Stonks are probably going to be doing pretty well here. Because what I think that this is going to mean is a stronger dollar, dude. If so, we have like the outputs to match, the exports to match, it might be good. But that's like trying to find the silver lining in shit pile, dude. It's not looking good for the average guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. The worst year of job addition since 2003. I mean, you got to think 2003. Okay, so we had, the 2008 crash, COVID, all this stuff. And it, this was still worse than those years.
2003 means like literally 9/11 happened. And then we went to war in like 2 countries, like big time. That's the kind of level of job creation we're looking at here. So bad stuff. That's why you got to train your AI agents now, dude, using my referral code. Just kidding. I don't even know if that works. They have one. Look at this hot steaming pile, dude. Ethereum.
Yeah, this is the Ethereum daily. Also just looking pretty bad. This is, I usually explain this, but this is a like a mean reversion cloud. It's not the Ichi. Kind of like a fancier Bollinger Band or something. But really, though, on the daily, what I would point out is just like, you do a line there, on shorter term stuff, like I like to use the alligator sometimes. So when it's this wide, that means like a shitload of volatility. But yeah, I mean, just a free fall on Ethereum, even, maybe uglier than what happened on the Bitcoin chart. Mm-hmm. But as we know, first Bitcoin's got to move, then Ethereum's got to move, then alts move. And we're just not, the market is so strange right now. A lot of things in the market are still just, following that path. But then you have like things like hype still holding in there okay. It was actually running up while everything was crashing, but it's kind of, come back to earth a little bit. Um, Monero has been moving 5-6% a day the last couple days, despite what's going on. So we're just kind of like in this weird time where it's sort of like we've talked about this a million times on GM Sonic, where it's just kind of like it just feels still like the old patterns are just not necessarily how things are panning out anymore.
Yeah, we got to be forward looking now, guys. We got to throw out all the old stuff. Here's the new stuff. The new stuff is we're approaching an AI world, right? Where everything's like agents. That's what they keep telling us at the very least. A lot less employment. So what does that mean, dude? Well, that means one thing. That means greater surveillance. So when Drac's telling me XMR is pumping 5 to 6 on the daily, I think that's a no-brainer. It's a very private token. As things seem to be generally moving, at least in a lot of Western countries, there's a lot more consolidation of control. Privacy is gonna be a premium, basically. Okay, they're gonna be look pretty soon. You'll be able to walk into Walmart. They're gonna face scan you. They're gonna know your exact net worth and how much is in your checking account. Okay, and it was in your Bitcoin wallet for that matter. But they won't know how much XMR you have, and that might make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, I was gonna throw this up in comparison, which is, this is the daily gold chart. Still just pretty much, we had a correction there on metals, but it looks like things have kind of resumed. I think that regardless of what happens in crypto, it's like we're still looking at people want assets. And it would be really nice if this stuff transferred over to crypto. But like I've said before, when gold's performing like this and this volatile, silver's even more volatile. Like, people just don't feel like, I don't think they feel like they need to take on that additional risk for extra gains. Looking at like the S&P, same thing. It's just kind of, this isn't as volatile, obviously, as like what the metals have been going through. But even with all this news and everything, we're still just looking at like a slow grind up. So, I mean, I think the bottom line is people still want assets.
Yeah.
Instead of dollars in their accounts.
Yeah. And the question, I guess, then becomes like you're saying, like, how much risk do they want on their assets? I think in 2021, around COVID, I think there was a lot of hysteria and a lot of fear, but still generally a lot of faith in the long-term productivity of the system, as in like people weren't losing their jobs quite as much in COVID. They could waiters and stuff, but even they were allowed to work in some extent. They were pretty confident this thing was going to be over. They'd get their jobs back. Lots of office workers working from home, still feeling very secure in their employment. So everyone could tolerate a little bit more risk. When they got those stimmy checks, they were like, I don't necessarily need it right now. Why not just throw it in the market? But now, with the current type of uncertainty we're dealing with now, which is a lot more geopolitical and structural, it's a little bit more, I kind of want to hold something that I don't have to worry about it, having any kind of volatility that's like crazy. I don't have to worry about a spike in 15% in a day or something.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that there was like this outlook for a minute where, tariffs were causing instability, but then there was kind of like, oh, there might be new stimmies and this and that. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you where it's like any kind of stimulus right now would probably go directly into paying mortgages, paying debts. I don't have the number here in front of me, but I was also reading, I've been, I get this in my feed from time to time, basically like credit card debt is also like new, something that's not getting reported on, I guess, quite as much is that, basically credit card debt is at historic all-time highs right now as well.
Yeah, I got that here for you. Yeah, I mean, it always kind of trends upwards, but as you can see, it's kind of like since 2021 just keeps going up. But if we were to look at like just the year,
I mean, yeah, that's like super intense for the year.
And when we talk about the employment numbers, people, don't have a job, you're going to be running up your credit even more. Less likelihood that you can pay it down. If you do get cash, you're just going to use it to stay afloat. It's looking bleak, guys. It's looking bleak. That's why you got to learn new skills. So you got to start practicing right now. Bonds getting dumped now too. No one trusts the U.S. Treasury, I don't think. I think you're right, M. Butch. Big thing I always like to say is it's really the instability that frightens people. It's not so much like, there's a certain amount of risk that people are willing to tolerate, but they're not willing to tolerate, shifting sands beneath their feet. And that's what the Treasury and the Fed is kind of like right now. No one's really sure what they're going to do. They're not really, I don't think there's a lot of confidence necessarily in the administration right now in terms of their fiscal policy, because they're kind of hot and cold. Tariffs, yes, no. Stimmy, yes, no. We got to battle it out in court. Too much risk. So we'll see. But
yeah. Speaking of risk, something, this is just like a little short blurb, but I found it amusing. James Wynn, famous for running up, I can't remember what his account was at his all-time high. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars that he had run up from a relatively low account, saying he's had 9 liquidations in the last 2 days, like 9 major liquidations. Arkham here reporting that he only has $500 left in his, I'm sure he has more than $500 to his name, but $500 is what's left in the famous account that he ran up and has also pretty much grinded down to zero.
A tale as old as time. It's only a matter of scale, right? I think we've all been here. I think we can all relate to James Wynn. Whether you threw 200 in a perps account or 2,000 or 200,000, I think we've all, classic gamble. It's just a gambling thing. He doesn't have a pure heart. That's the problem.
Yeah, he needs to work on getting that heart pure, and then he needs
meditation. Yeah, meditation retreat, something like that. Now we could talk a little bit about. Well, now, all right. Do we want to go straight into Binance FUD? Do you want to talk about Binance FUD? Do you want to talk about something a little more positive?
We go to Binance FUD. That sounds fun.
All right. So let's start off here. That's at the head of the snake here. Okay. So this article came out yesterday, I believe, 2 days ago. Binance, whose founder was pardoned, now holds 87% of Trump's stablecoins. This is from Forbes. It is a pretty interesting dive into World Liberty Financial, their stablecoin USD1, and their relationship with Binance. We've talked about it before on GM Sonic. CZ got pardoned. He went straight to work, basically interacting with the markets in ways that, according to his previous plea deal, would have been illegal. So he's been emboldened to some extent with his interactions with Trump, which I have this little video here. Wait, do I not have it anymore? Oh yeah, this one. All right, let's see.
Anyway, so the process, I believe, is there's no process. The president can do whatever they want. Right. And then, so you submit a petition and you wait. And then there is a pardon czar in the White House. I think her name is Alice Johnson. She also went to prison for many years. She wrote a really nice book, which I read. But your lawyers, will ping her, say, they need a status update. They need a status update. There's no. And then suddenly it happened. So, that's kind of the extent I know about the pardon process. I don't think there's a fixed process. I don't think anybody knows what that is.
The question that some people can kind of jump to is they think, what must CZ have done to try to get it? Do you want to put that?
Well, I didn't do much.
Yeah, it didn't do much. So, he's claiming that, obviously what you would say is, I just put in a pardon and they approved it. I didn't have any say in the matter, right? Although I will recommend this, if you ever are up for a pardon or you're trying to get pardoned, do read the person who is doing the pardoning's book and be sure to tell them how good it was.
Tell them how good the book was
and how much you loved it and insightful it was. But anyway, so obviously he's not going to say like, yeah, I took money from Trump or I'm going to wash money for Trump. But there is some interesting stats here I wanted to highlight because this is like one part of a lot of Binance FUD that's happening. But I don't think necessarily it's as simple as this is just FUD on Binance. So up front, Binance holds 87% of USD1. That's the World Liberty Financial stablecoin. Roughly 4.75 billion of the total supply. They're really hyping up that this number is crazy, and it is a pretty crazy number. But they also hold about like 70-something% of Ethena, USDE as well. So it's not that insane for them to hold a huge supply, right? They're the biggest exchange. They have to make markets. They have to have liquidity and the like. Also, they have a incentive program for USD1 that they need to pay out in USD1. So there's some money exchange going there. But what's interesting is Binance is prohibited from serving U.S. customers under its 2023 settlement with the Treasury Department. So all of this USD1 is not in America. It shouldn't be in U.S. accounts. And then, oh yeah, this is the one I was telling you before the stream, Drac. So a Trump LLC owns 38% of World Liberty Financial, but they get like 74% of all of the profits from the trading of USD1. And that gets funneled through a trust to Trump directly. So you made something like $600 million in Q4 of last year alone. So whether or not there was an official deal made between the two or whatever, the relationship between the Trump administration and CZ is a very profitable one at the very least, right? Now, there are guys around saying like, you know, this guy Leonidas, you got that clip from, he's saying that like this is one of the things that is a sign that an exchange is going to collapse. And he points out a couple other things. CoffeeZilla calling CZ out for corruption. Sitting U.S. Senator says CZ is a criminal. CNBC host blames Binance for 1010 and current crypto crash. CEO of OKX calls out Binance's corrupt listing practices and says CZ is avoiding responsibility. But in my opinion, and I'm curious what you think, Drac, we got this whole picture now laid out in front of us. Binance, corrupt, responsible for 1010, incompetent, running at the very least, running like having like bad auto deleveraging systems in place, bad oracles for internal pricing, colluding with the United States government. I think that this is actually one of the most bullish things I've ever seen. Historically, Binance FUD precedes a big boom in assets because they got to cover their tracks. They got to be like, market's actually fine. And two, if you're the guy that's washing money for the president, who's going to arrest you, dude? Who's going to stop you?
Yeah, and I always thought that was, first of all, yeah, that is a good point. That some of the other times in history where Binance FUD's like really gotten out of control, it is almost like mysteriously, you know, you get some nice price action. But also, yeah, I remember when they were establishing all this USD1 stuff, and it was, you know, they definitely threw their weight around that, you know, hey, this is basically like the president. So basically the United States government, where, you know, they had all these deals worked out like this, you know, in terms of, you know, getting swap fees and this and that. But yeah, I mean, it's an impressive display. I mean, it's really, you know, in terms of crime, but it's like, you know, USD1's like, it's crazy because I'm like, I don't know anyone that uses it or has it. Nobody talks about it. It does kind of give off those vibes of like, yeah, like this is just seems like a pretty like extensive like money laundering scheme or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a really bizarre scheme because like if I remember, you couldn't even get into the World Liberty Fi sale unless you were KYC'd as a accredited investor.
Yeah.
So those are pretty stringent requirements. And then some of the stats about you know, World Liberty Fi's, I think it's still up about 6-7 times from the pre-sale on the open market, even though it's been only down since it launched. It's down like 70% or something. So it's in a very interesting scheme. The only thing you can do with World Liberty Fi is vote and governance on like who knows what on when you unlock World Liberty Fi tokens.
Yeah, and if you remember, like early on, like even some of the contract stuff, you know, you had that famous like run in with Justin Sun, where you know they froze. They had the ability to freeze your funds, so they like basically froze his tokens. He was using. It was really convoluted, so I can't remember the exact chain of how it worked, but basically it was like there was a Tron exchange that was saying like, you know, they were offering like really good like APR on World Liberty token or whatever, but it was actually like this really convoluted way for Justin Sun to be able to slowly sell off his supply.
Yeah.
And they kind of like busted him, so then they like froze his shit.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little scheme, especially like when you take into context like some of the other like schemes I get. I don't know, programs Trump has launched. Like there's that new one where he's like pulling out of the UN, and it's like there's a new council to join, but you have to pay like $1 billion to the foundation to get in. Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, I love it. It's like Herbalife.
Herbalife.
You know,
Oh yeah,
it's like, look, you got to just make this one investment, but you're really investing in yourself here.
Yeah,
and it's like all the money is just going to the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely kind of what it seems like. It's like a very like pay to play little system. It's almost like look, I mean, I can't make any accusations. I don't know the full story. Maybe it is an excellent financial product and people love using it. But like it seems to me that there's some additional the Freedom Council. Yeah, I think that might be what it's called, dude, the Freedom Council. There might be it might be like essentially a way to back channel deals. For instance, in May, World Liberty Financial said MGX, a state-backed Abu Dhabi fund, would use $2 billion worth of USD1 to invest in Binance, essentially placing $2 billion of reserves with USD1's custodians. It's very similar. It evinces to me. It reminds me of how in the 80s and the 70s, we would do like these development deals like we do with Saudi Arabia, where we sell them a bunch of like T-bills, and then they have to reinvest the yield of those T-bills into American contractors to develop Saudi Arabia. So, you know, like we just make money off of it. So
yeah,
there's also interesting stuff where they sold a bunch of World Liberty Financial tokens that don't do anything, don't give them any right to yield to what do you call it?
Yeah, it's very much like the Obama medal.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome, dude. You know what's funny?
It's like we're gonna give you the money, but you have to give us back most of the money, but then we give you more money. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Just money laundering, right? It's classic. Yeah. Greatest to ever do it, though. One of the greatest to ever do it. This is a huge public scale. So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's kind of a bad look for crypto in general, but maybe quite bullish if you can somehow, I don't know, because it doesn't, you need access in order to make any money off of this stuff, right? Like, I don't know if you can necessarily front run their moves. You need to have like insider access to this stuff.
I guess it's like people get mad because it's like a lot of people make money in this industry being insiders or pseudo insiders, and it's kind of like you know, it's more like the financial insider's final boss, and now it's kicking everybody out from their own little deals. You know, they're not as important.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, if you want to be terrified, speaking of crypto and finance, like if you want to get really scared, right? This dropped yesterday. Layer 0, Fox in the hen house all these years, announced that they are dropping their chain probably like Q3 this year, claiming 2 million TPS, which I don't think anybody has been able to prove that they can have a TPS that high yet. But
crazy.
Yeah, and I would go into the article, but it is super long. So go to, Layer 0, any of their pages on X, you can find the article. I mean, it's an interesting read. They're basically, as you can see here in the top paragraph, I think to sum it all up is it's just like a totally unique like execution system. Part of it is like using like ZK proofs and a matcher and all that stuff, which already helps with like congestion. But the way they're explaining it is that like they're totally separating like the execution layer from like the kind of like solving layer, which is in a way what like you had things like Celestia when they were kind of proposing something similar to help like L2 scale back when that was still an issue. So if you go through the article, it's like they're kind of just combining the best of a lot of ideas. I don't know. I was actually for the first time in a while, like kind of excited reading it in terms of like, yeah, it's like all the world needs is another chain, right? But but it actually is like, it's really interesting. I mean, they've kind of like, they're building something unique. And also, I think part of it is, to me, is also just like Layer Zero, that team like does not miss. So they do things really, when they execute, it's just like there's few people out there that can execute the way they can. They've already got, a bunch of like TradFi people that are teaming up with them. Kathy Woods on their board. It's going to get interesting. I don't know if this would have probably been more exciting like a year or two ago, but it should still get interesting. I mean, they're literally in the article. I mean, they've already gotten some like pushback because, I mean, basically in the article, it's like, I won't go as far as saying they trash Ethereum, but they're kind of like, here's what's wrong with Ethereum and here's what we're doing. And then, they also go into Solana saying like, here's like all the problems with Solana that we're fixing. So, some of the Solana higher ups are much more outspoken. So I know like Tolly already had like a quote tweet just being like, yeah, you guys just wait to see how hard it is. It's not like just as easy as what you're talking about. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like pretty big announcement.
Do we really think it'll be able to eat everyone's lunch though? Like, will it be able to attract the kind of use that, demands such spec, so many specs, such TPS?
Yeah. I mean, because to piggyback off that, what I wanted to point out was, Mega ETH was a very big project, launched this week. Currently has less TVL locked than Sonic, 40 million in TVL. They raised more than, I want to say they raised more than Monad raised. Monad raised, I want to say 200, 300 million, somewhere around there. Mega ETH raised almost $500 million.
Jesus Christ.
So this is just to give you an idea. And I mean, their stuff is done so well. I mean, everything they do is like so, well, I say that, let me back that up because, their token TGE stuff was like a complete mess.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like, how their marketing is, how, it's like, it's all like run pretty well. But yeah, I mean, it launched to pretty much very little fanfare. You look at the apps. I went to like the main decks. I mean, no offense, but not very impressed with that. I feel like they kind of got like the same issue you saw with Bera and Monad, which was like you have like some low hanging fruit at launch. But I think if I would take any lessons from someone deploying a chain, it would be like, I think like Mega ETH's approach is more of like Mega ETH and Monad is more like, people are going to start building, the stuff's going to launch, it'll be more organic build up, whatever. But I feel like the lesson I've taken from watching this a few times now is like, I think you got to have at least like a killer app at launch. Ideally, a handful of pretty good eco apps, and it's almost like maybe worth waiting to launch for that.
Yeah.
But
something like actually new and exciting to get people in the door, right?
yeah, and I mean, I know that like it's complicated for certain situations. Like for instance, Bera and Monad were basically just, at a point where they both took so long that, big investors were threatening to pull out. People were, getting pretty pissed. So I mean, Bera basically launched not even like their full mechanics that they proposed in place. And I was starting to get a similar thing with Mega ETH here where, you were seeing a lot of like big investors kind of complain and like, when are you going to launch this shit? So I think like from infrastructure perspective, I think it would be good to launch with stuff in place. I mean, I'm sure like if anyone's going to figure that out, it'll be Zero.
Real quick, I want to switch tracks here a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about, this is more of like a cultural thing for crypto, because I think similar to like kind of what we're talking about with like Canton and like kind of how the industry is moving. It's been consistently moving. I've been saying this forever, moving more and more towards like professionalism. integration in institutions and the like. And part of this, right, there was like one little bastion, I feel like, that kind of kept crypto feeling like you were like a little bit of a hacker kind of guy, almost like you were a little bit of like a cypherpunk, or maybe getting in on something early or whatever. And that was Discord. I haven't used Discord for crypto stuff in like a year or so. What about you, Drac? You use Discord much?
I've always been a Telegram guy. I prefer Telegram. I understand how some people prefer Discord. I think Discord's probably good if like I don't know, like if you're looking at Sonic, like shadow decks, you know, like somebody that needs to actually put out a lot of information and people need to have like access to it. I think Discord's probably the way, but I don't know. Like I said, I just kind of prefer the way Telegram moves, but you know, Telegram's definitely more like a chat room, and Discord's more like a
forum,
like a forum, or
I always liked that about Discord, is that you could have different little forums for different topics. And I always thought it was so interesting how many like crypto startups and even kind of more established crypto products use Discord essentially as like almost a help desk. Now, obviously, there's a lot of problems with Discord. There's a reason I haven't used it in a year. It's kind of bloated. It's kind of annoying to use sometimes. And it's flush with scammers. TG also has scammers, but Discord is really, really bad. And that people are pretending to be people, people are, sending weird files and shit. They're trying to direct you. It's also, there's very little protections in Discord. And it's ironic because it's an app that mostly it's children using to play video games. But there's a new thing that's happening, which is a lot of projects are moving off of Discord entirely. Like famously, Morpho earlier this year said closing down the Discord. I think a lot of projects are turning their Discords into like view only. And I think this is like another example of like, we had like this shift with the advent of social media and social media marketing, where companies like were putting more of themselves out there so that you could interact with them more, chat with the Wendy's account. And now in crypto, it became even more like that. Like I could talk to the dev directly, right? Like I could spam Andre Cronier directly in his Discord and be like, hey, what color underwear are you wearing? And he might even respond. But now it's switching the other way, where brands are starting to realize, particularly crypto guys who are the most exposed, like maybe I don't want to have all this surface area with my users, especially when they're all scammers. So many of them are. But
and I mean, I get that. And you have kind of seen that move where it's like people are just like, nah, it's just going to be straight up like an information hub. But I mean, the new thing, obviously they're talking about some crazy stuff in terms of like, they're going to like store your biometric data, and it's just like
they want to face scan you to make sure you're not a child logging into Discord every time.
So it's like, I don't know if that's the way, but it's like, I agree with the general sentiment that, like there's all these things available, and they can be dangerous for someone that's like a vulnerable, whether they're a kid or they're not totally there mentally, or, whatever. But it's taking a strange turn.
The face scanning, I think it's kind of ironic, because I think this will solve a lot of the issues that make using Discord for crypto stuff and just business in general kind of annoying, which is the spammers and the like, right? It should cut down significantly on spammers and scammers, because you'll have an identity tied to the account. But at the same time, a lot of crypto people don't want their identities tied to their accounts for various reasons. So my question to the audience and anyone, this is a CTA or whatever, what is the platform that you're going to use if Discord goes down? I mean, we got Telegram, but is there any other option for this kind of, because Telegram is tied to your phone number, right? So like, it's kind of hard to make like a truly anonymous account. Like I get notifications from people in high school, like joining Telegram, and I'll be like, okay, cool. It's not going to connect with them. I don't use that for this, but I think it's interesting.
I mean, I guess you have seen over the years a few people kind of like take cracks at it. I mean, it would be like kind of a cool opportunity for someone to like make something new and like interesting, or hell, even if there's just like a way to like, make it totally on chain or something. I don't know. But yeah, Control says nice try, Mossad. Yeah, I'm not gonna be scanning my face anytime soon for this.
This is my stock recommendation. Now, financial advice is and maybe I'm a little late to this. Buy America Mobile SAB DCV. This is the company that makes TracFone, the most popular burner phone in America. So this is how you get your TG account set up where it's a little bit more anonymous. And look, doing great, dude. 13% on the month.
Yeah, the burner stock is going up.
Burner stock is shooting up through the roof. But yeah, I mean, Discord, rest in peace. Finally get to cancel my Nitrous subscription. Don't need to boost any more servers for airdrops or whatever the fuck I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be like somewhere in the middle where it's like, you know, you can have a place like Discord where maybe there's some kind of verification, but it's also like some kind of element where you know that like things aren't being stored on a private server. I mean, that's where I think like, you know, from a crypto Web3 angle, it could be interesting is like, you know, if things are just running on, you know, if things are just running decentralized and there's some way that you just know that it's not like storing your face scan.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Isn't this like the idea behind WorldCoin kind of was like it like they verify that you're a real human and then like you can then use that verification in like a ZK proofed way where it proves that you're a person and like a unique person, but not like any identifying details about you.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's kind of where it gets hard with the ZK stuff is when you're doing ZK matching, you have to have something matching those transactions, right? And where a lot of people still don't have this figured out quite yet is a lot of times the matcher is basically like an opaque offline system. So even though it creates it to where you can't see things on chain, you have to be able to verify that someone's not using the matcher to basically store the data, just like they would a database on like a Web2 server deal. And I never really looked into WorldCoin because I was like, it's called WorldCoin and it has your identity. No thanks.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe they have some way to be like, oh, we're able to verify, you know, there's also a system on chain that handles the matching or something. And that way, you know, that it's not saving your data. But that's been traditionally the issue with the ZK stuff has just been that it's nice to be able to shield it on chain, and there are ways to make a matcher on chain. It's just harder than, you know, when you just have like this nice little opaque program doing it.
Well, let's vibe code that, dude. Let's vibe code that and let's squeeze some money out of these cypherpunks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It should just, you know, be like it's Discord, but it's, you know, ZK matching and the matchers on chain. And yeah, I don't know. We might have to pitch that there, you know.
Dude, what if we made a social network on Monero, bro? Oh wait, I already had that. It's called the dark web.
It's the Silk Road.
The Silk Road, yeah. No, I mean, funny stuff though. Yeah, I think that is actually a pretty good idea. Verify. I think that's one of the ones I was most excited about narrative wise. I should pay attention to a little bit more is identity verification using crypto, because I think there is a lot of opportunity there, or maybe need is maybe a better word for it, particularly with like AIs and stuff. Now, I see we're running up against the time here, but if you got a few minutes, you want to talk about the Super Bowl ads a little bit? You want to put up the Coinbase ad real quick?
Yeah. Do you have that?
Yeah, I got it. This is one of the worst ads I've ever seen in my life, by the way. I got to say that. A lot of people seem to like it. So I think it's like, yeah, you either love it or you hate it. Really? See, my problem with it is like, wasn't there like already like a Backstreet Boys ad during?
Yeah, I think that part kind of bit him in the ass because there was like earlier in the Super Bowl, there was like an ad and I think it had the actual Backstreet Boys in it. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking like these guys are eating, dude. What it signifies to me is my generation is now like the nostalgia target big time.
Yeah.
It used to be Gen Xers. Now they're going to be pushing.
Yeah, you're just going to hear like a bunch of like early 2000s, like, you know, but.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get an orchestral rendition of Throw Some D's on that, you know?
Yeah, I thought the concept was cool. Like it was like, okay, the time that they aired it was like, I think it was around halftime. So I think in their mind, it's like, okay, around halftime, you're a little buzzed at that point. You're maybe at a party. Everyone's kind of getting a little drunk by then at the party. And then you have like a fucking karaoke invitation to do a karaoke sing along while everybody's, hanging out and kind of drunk.
Yeah, that's actually.
So I think in theory, it made sense, but I don't know. It's also just funny how like it's Coinbase, but it still had nothing to do with like crypto or like anything.
It was just an awareness campaign, like basically, right? It's just like we saw this a lot with a lot of the Super Bowl ads with like the weight loss supplements and the AI stuff, where it's a lot less of like explaining even what they do and just kind of putting forward to the American public, like justifying their existence or like trying to get some credibility. Like if you notice the weight loss drugs were like, you shouldn't shame someone for the way they lose weight. And the AI ones were like, it can make you big and strong, actually. It can actually help your life. It's not just stealing your job. And this Coinbase one was just like, hey, we're the only. The Coinbase one is a little like malicious, nefarious, if you ask me, because like we haven't had a crypto ad in the Super Bowl since 2022, right? When shit was burning hot with FTX and stuff. And that was the famous FTX ad where Larry David was proven correct to have not put his funds in FTX.
Yeah.
But this one, it's interesting because in that one, we had 3 crypto ads. We had eToro, FTX, and Coinbase. Now we only have Coinbase. And why is that? It's because there is no competitor really to Coinbase now. And in the lyrics of that song, they say, we're the only one. It literally is the only option for you if you're an American.
I'm sure somebody thought of that somewhere in the organization.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like dancing on their grave.
Yeah. It's like, they had a commercial that was pretty good where it was like, I can't remember if it was the one that they played at the Super Bowl last time where, it was just kind of like, hey, like here's people that have trouble with like normal money and here's how Coinbase helps them. And, it was still like an entertaining ad though. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I saw, it's like people either just like really hated it or were just like, this is awesome. So I don't know. But I was kind of like in the camp of like, what the hell is this? But okay.
My kind of point is this. I guess that I guess you have Robinhood. There are options to get crypto through like other apps in America. But to me, it kind of seems like they're establishing themselves as, and they kind of have always been this place, just reestablishing the fact that they are the primary destination for this. There really are no other options. They don't really need to say anything. Just, hey, remember Coinbase is here. If you want, if you're going to use any kind of crypto stuff, we're here.
Also, this is just like a little short thing before we hop off, just to touch on the what we were talking about earlier with the debt. This is like totally off topic, but I just got like Kobayashi letter. I subscribed to their channel, and they were just talking about how like credit card delinquencies are at all-time high, up to 12%. So 12% of all credit card debt is like delinquent debt, which is crazy.
That's really interesting. I wonder how much of that is, I don't know. It's an interesting. You remember in the Biden administration, it put in this policy where it's like medical debt wouldn't count against your FICO, your credit score. I think they repealed that in the Trump admin. So if that happened, I wonder if that is like essentially rugging some people, like they had extended their credit even further as a result of the higher credit score. And then they're getting, I don't know. Either way, it's bad news bears, dude, because what that means is even less money in circulation. I'm kind of becoming a fan of this theory, though, that what we're experiencing is a monetary crunch. There actually isn't enough dollars to go around. So I think they actually might need to start printing big time.
Yeah. So, I mean, something to think about. If you hop in the Rope House Telegram, we need to like cook up this new Discord on-chain idea. We gotta get financial freedom before the entire system collapses.
Yeah, that's the goal of Rope House. It's financial freedom or rope by the time the system collapses.
Yeah. And we get paid by China to coordinate FUD. So that's nice too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's awesome about China is they're always on time and they pay in silver coins.
I'm loving the silver coin payments.
Yeah. It's hard to spend them, but God, it makes me feel rich, dude.
Yeah. I love putting them in I got like a little chest in here and I just throw them in there. Mm-hmm. Man, it's a good feeling when you hear them just clanking there in the chest with all the other silver tokens.
Yeah, God bless Xi Jinping. Long live the CCP. And I want to thank you all for watching. And please, like, subscribe. This is our new show. So check us out on YouTube. It really helps out over there. And we got some other plans, don't we, Drac? Do we want to announce it for next episode? We want to keep it under wraps.
We'll keep it under wraps a little while longer while we sort it out, but it's gonna be fun stuff coming up.
Right on. All right, folks. Well, stay tuned, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next week.
Nothing Ever Profits is Mason Corval and Dracula Presley.